Severe weather developing across Queensland, a tropical low system building in the north, flash flooding risks along the coast, temperature extremes from one end of the country to the other. That is the pattern we are tracking right now. Right now, conditions across Australia could not be more varied. And before we get into the forecast, it is worth understanding where we are starting from because that tells you a lot about what is coming. Up in far north Queensland, Mount Carbine hit 30 degrees Celsius by 10:30 this morning. Humidity sitting at 85%. The overnight minimum was 26 degrees. That combination of heat and humidity is exhausting. 1 hour of heavy rain came through last night, which is typical for this time of year as the monsoon trough starts to build, but it does not bring relief, it just adds more moisture to an already saturated atmosphere. Brisbane and the Gold Coast are sweating through it. 35 degrees forecasted for the Gold Coast on Sunday. That is hot for this time of year. The humidity makes it feel worse. You have been dealing with sticky, uncomfortable conditions all week, and there is more of that to come before any change arrives. Compare that to what is happening down south. Carcoar in New South Wales saw a top of 26 degrees with an overnight low of 14 degrees. Clear skies with only small clouds moving through. That is pleasant spring weather, the kind of conditions where you can actually get things done outside without melting. That temperature contrast, that split between the tropical heat up north and the mild conditions down south, is about to become very significant because a weather system is developing that will push those boundaries around. And when tropical air masses collide with cooler southern air, that is when things get active. Let me break down what the Bureau of Meteorology is showing us and what the forecast models are telling us about the next 7 to 10 days, starting with the immediate concern. Southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales face a severe thunderstorm risk this afternoon and into tonight. The Bureau has been monitoring this situation closely. The atmospheric conditions are there, high humidity, unstable air, a trigger mechanism moving through. If you look at the current satellite imagery, there is cloud streaming across southeast Queensland. That cloud cover is actually suppressing storm development through the Sunshine Coast region for now, but where skies have cleared, particularly through the Gold Coast hinterland and into northern New South Wales around Lismore and Grafton, that is where the atmosphere is destabilising rapidly. The forecast models show thunderstorms developing across the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales between 6 and 7 this evening. The European model is quite aggressive with this forecast. We are looking at moderate to high risks for large hail, damaging wind gusts and heavy rainfall. Not every storm will be severe, but the ones that do organise properly have the potential to cause localised damage. As we move into the late evening, probably around 9 or 10 tonight, some of those storms cross the border into southeast Queensland. By that stage, they have had time to mature. They will be stronger than what they were earlier in the day. Brisbane's southern suburbs, the Gold Coast and areas through the hinterland could see some solid thunderstorm activity tonight. The risk is not catastrophic. This is not a widespread severe weather outbreak. But if you are in the path of one of these cells, you will know about it. Heavy rain in a short period, potential for flash flooding in low-lying areas, wind gusts that could bring down tree branches, hail large enough to damage vehicles if you have not got them under cover. For those further inland across Queensland through Chinchilla, Roma and the Western Darling Downs, the severe weather risk is minimal. You might see some storm activity, you might get a period of heavy rain, but the organised severe thunderstorms are a coastal and ranges phenomenon today. Now let me talk about Saturday because this is where the forecast gets complicated and I want to be straight with you about what to expect. There is a low pressure system sitting off the New South Wales Central Coast. This thing strengthens significantly through Friday night and Saturday. By Saturday afternoon, it drops below 1,000 hectopascals. That is a strong coastal low, and it is going to dominate the weather pattern across the eastern seaboard. For New South Wales, particularly the Central Coast, Sydney and down into the Illawarra, this system brings heavy rain. We are talking about widespread falls of 50 to 100 millimetres. Some areas could see more than that if thunderstorms embed within the rain bands. The ground is already saturated in many parts of coastal New South Wales. Rivers and creeks are running high. Additional heavy rain on top of that creates a genuine flash flooding risk. If you are in these areas, you need to be aware. Do not drive through floodwater. If it is flooded, forget it. That is not just a slogan. That is the difference between getting home safely and ending up in serious trouble. For southeast Queensland, Saturday is frustrating. The low pressure system off New South Wales changes the wind patterns. Instead of getting that southeasterly trigger that usually sparks severe thunderstorms through Brisbane and the Gold Coast, we get northeasterly winds. That suppresses storm development. What does that mean practically? Saturday looks like another day of watching storms develop inland and fizzle out before they reach the coast. If you have been waiting for rain, if your garden needs it, if the dams need it, Saturday probably disappoints. There might be some showers, there might be isolated storms, but widespread soaking rain across southeast Queensland on Saturday is unlikely. Many of you remember the 1st of November last year. Severe thunderstorms ripped through southeast Queensland. That was a textbook southeasterly trigger event. Strong winds along the coast, pushing inland, lifting unstable air, creating explosive storm development. We do not have that set up on Saturday. The coastal low blocks it. Sunday into Monday, the pattern shifts again. The coastal low weakens and moves away. High pressure builds over the Tasman Sea. That high pressure system steers moisture back towards the Queensland coast. And that is when southeast Queensland's rain chances improve. The models show scattered showers and thunderstorms developing across the region on Sunday. Nothing severe at this stage, just garden variety storms with moderate rainfall, but it is rain. And after weeks of dryness, that is something. Monday and Tuesday look similar. Scattered showers and storms. The higher rainfall totals will be across the ranges and the hinterland. The coastal areas get less, as usual. But you should see something. Now, let me shift focus to the tropical situation because this is developing into something significant and it deserves your attention. A tropical low-pressure system is currently sitting in the Joseph Bonaparte Gulf. That is the body of water between the Northern Territory and Western Australia, just south of the Timor Sea. Right now, this system is disorganised. Just a broad area of low pressure with scattered thunderstorms. But the environment around this system is very favourable for development. Sea surface temperatures are sitting at 30 to 31 degrees Celsius. That is fuel for tropical cyclones. The wind shear, which is the difference in wind speed and direction at different altitudes, is low. Low wind shear allows cyclones to organise and strengthen. The forecast models are in good agreement. This tropical low is going to intensify. By Sunday or Monday, it becomes a tropical cyclone. The question is not if it strengthens. The question is how strong it gets and where it goes. Let me be very clear about the forecast confidence here. The intensity forecast has reasonable confidence. The models agree that this system strengthens into at least a Category 2 or Category 3 cyclone. Possibly stronger. The conditions are there for rapid intensification. The track forecast has much lower confidence. And this is critical because the difference between one track and another is the difference between a severe impact on the coast and a system that stays offshore. The current guidance shows two main scenarios. One scenario has the system tracking southwest towards the Pilbara coast of Western Australia. That would bring the cyclone onshore somewhere between Port Hedland and Karratha around the middle of next week. A Category 3 or Category 4 cyclone making landfall in that region is a serious event. Coastal communities would need to prepare. Evacuations might be necessary. The other scenario has the system tracking more westward, staying offshore and weakening as it moves into cooler waters. That scenario has minimal impact on the Western Australian coast. Right now, both scenarios are on the table. The models have not converged on a single solution. That is not unusual this far out from a potential landfall. Tropical systems are notoriously difficult to forecast more than 3 to 5 days in advance. What does that mean for you if you are in Western Australia? It means you pay attention. You monitor the forecasts. You make sure your cyclone plan is up to date. If you live in a coastal community in the Pilbara or the Kimberley, you know the drill. Secure loose items around the property. Stock up on essentials. Make sure you have batteries, water, tinned food. Have your important documents in a waterproof bag. Many of you remember Cyclone Tracy, Christmas Eve 1974. Winds up to 217 kilometres per hour. Darwin was destroyed. This system will not reach those extremes. Darwin was a unique and catastrophic event, but any tropical cyclone making landfall deserves respect and preparation. The Bureau of Meteorology will issue more detailed warnings as this system develops and the track becomes clearer. If you are in a potentially affected area, listen to those warnings, follow the advice from emergency services. Do not wait until the last minute to prepare. Now, while we are talking about the tropics, I need to mention what is happening across the top end more broadly. Darwin and the surrounding areas are getting hammered with rain. The monsoon trough is active. This is normal for this time of year. The wet season is well and truly underway. Heavy rainfall across the northern parts of the Northern Territory and Cape York Peninsula continues through the weekend and into next week. We are talking about widespread falls of 100 to 200 millimetres. Some areas will see more. Creek and river levels are rising. Roads are becoming impassable. If you are travelling through the top end or far north Queensland, check road conditions before you leave. Do not attempt to cross flooded roads. For those in remote communities, you know how quickly conditions can change. Stock up on supplies now while you can still get to town. Once the roads go under, you might be cut off for days or even weeks. Let me bring it back to the broader pattern because there is something interesting happening with the temperature distribution across the country over the next week. That tropical air mass sitting over northern Australia is not going anywhere. Far north Queensland, the top end, the Kimberley, you are stuck with heat and humidity for the foreseeable future. Overnight minimums in the mid to high 20s. Daytime maximums in the low to mid 30s. Humidity making it feel worse. That is your reality for at least the next 7 to 10 days. But for southern and central parts of Australia, there are some cooler changes on the way. A series of cold fronts moving through from the Southern Ocean bring relief to South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania mid to late next week. We are not talking about dramatic cold. This is still late spring, early summer. But after weeks of above average temperatures, a few days in the low 20s will feel pleasant. New South Wales sits in the middle. The southern parts of the state get the cooler change. Sydney and the Central Coast see temperatures drop a few degrees, but nothing dramatic. The northern parts of New South Wales stay warm and humid under the influence of that tropical air mass. Queensland stays hot. There is no relief coming for you, not from temperature anyway. Your relief comes in the form of increased rainfall as the monsoon activity picks up. Let me talk about some practical considerations given what we are looking at. For those in southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales dealing with thunderstorms today and tonight, the usual advice applies. If you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. Get indoors, secure outdoor furniture and equipment, move vehicles under cover if possible. Keep an eye on the Bureau of Meteorology warnings and radar. If you are in low-lying areas prone to flash flooding, be aware. These storms can drop a lot of rain in a very short period. 30 to 50 millimetres in an hour is not out of the question with the stronger cells. That is enough to cause localised flooding. For New South Wales coastal areas dealing with heavy rain on Saturday, this is serious. The ground is saturated, catchments are full, rivers are already running high. Additional heavy rain creates real flood risks. Have a plan, know your evacuation routes. If emergency services tell you to leave, leave. Do not wait. For Western Australia watching the tropical cyclone development, preparation is key. If you are in the Pilbara or Kimberley regions, now is the time to check your cyclone kit. Make sure you have everything you need. Do not wait until the system is 12 hours from landfall. By then, the shops are stripped bare and you are out of options. If you have livestock, think about their safety. Secure or move stock to higher ground if flooding is a risk. Make sure they have access to shelter if strong winds are forecast. For those travelling, whether it is up north through the tropics or along the New South Wales coast, check conditions before you go. Roads can close quickly with heavy rain and flooding. Getting stuck on a remote road with rising water around you is dangerous. One more thing I want to touch on because it is relevant given the tropical activity we are seeing, crocodiles. If you are in the top end or far north Queensland and you are near water, fresh or salt, assume there are crocodiles. Heavy rain and flooding brings them into areas they might not normally be. Do not swim, do not wade, do not camp right on the water's edge. Be croc wise. Now, looking further ahead into next week, the pattern stays active. That is the theme. Active weather across multiple parts of the country. The tropical cyclone, whatever category it reaches, whatever track it takes, will dominate headlines for Western Australia and the northern parts of the country. The Bureau will have much better information on the likely impacts by Sunday or Monday. For Queensland, particularly the southeastern parts, scattered showers and thunderstorms continue. Nothing severe at this stage, but persistent rainfall that should ease the dry conditions. New South Wales coastal areas stay wet. The pattern is locked in. Multiple systems moving through bringing rain. For farmers, that is good news if you have been dry. For those in flood-prone areas, it is a concern that needs managing. Victoria and South Australia get a mix, some showers, some cooler changes, nothing dramatic, fairly typical spring weather for those states. Tasmania stays cool and showery. If you are in the highlands, there might be snow on the tops by the end of next week. Not unusual for this time of year. The mountains can get snow any month of the year. Let me wrap this up with a summary because there is a lot happening and I want to make sure the key points are clear. Immediate threat, severe thunderstorms possible across southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales this afternoon and tonight. Heavy rain, large hail, damaging winds, all possible with the stronger cells. Saturday, heavy rain for New South Wales coastal areas as a coastal low intensifies, flash flooding possible. Southeast Queensland misses out on significant rain due to unfavourable wind patterns. Sunday onwards, rain chances improve for southeast Queensland as the coastal low moves away. Scattered showers and storms through much of next week. Tropical cyclone, a tropical low in the Joseph Bonaparte Gulf, is forecast to intensify into a cyclone over the weekend. Current guidance suggests it could reach Category 3 or 4. Track is uncertain, but Western Australia, particularly the Pilbara coast, is in the potential impact zone. Monitor forecasts closely if you are in affected areas. Northern Australia, heavy monsoon rainfall continues across the top end and Cape York Peninsula, flooding likely in many areas. Roads becoming impassable. Temperature, Northern Australia stays hot and humid. Southern Australia sees some cooler changes mid to late next week, but nothing dramatic. The key message here is situational awareness. If you are in an area facing severe weather, whether it is thunderstorms, heavy rain, or a potential tropical cyclone, you need to be paying attention. Monitor the Bureau of Meteorology forecasts. Listen to warnings from emergency services. Have a plan. Weather like this demands respect, not panic, not complacency. Respect. You prepare, you stay informed, you make sensible decisions based on the information available. For those of you who have been through severe weather before, and I know many of you have, you understand this. You have seen what can happen when people do not take warnings seriously. You have also seen what happens when people panic unnecessarily. The balance is preparation without panic. Check on your mates, especially those in remote areas or those who might be vulnerable. Elderly neighbours, people who live alone, make sure they know what is coming and that they have what they need. And for those waiting for rain, particularly in southeast Queensland, your patience might be rewarded next week. The pattern is shifting in a direction that favours increased rainfall. It has been a frustrating few weeks watching storms develop and fizzle. That changes. That is where we are. Multiple weather systems across multiple parts of the country. Stay safe, monitor the forecasts, and we will keep tracking